Okay, so you can see from here, this is the flow and the sequence for the filming later on. So
okay.
yeah, everything's okay, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think we'll need to get ready for the scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to the Joyful Investors channel. We are back on another episode of the Pride and Joy series, where we invite financial practitioners and investors to talk about money and investing topics and how they manage to find pride and joy in this process. Well, our guest today is someone who became obsessed with investing 10 years ago. His life perspective changed entirely after seeing Warren Buffett's quote, "If you don't know how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." Since then, understanding how money works has been one of his biggest interests and pursuits in life. He has been in the wealth management industry over the last 7 years and is currently managing 40 million SGD of assets under advisory. Hi, Yang Zi. Hi, how's it? Today we have invited Yang Zi with us on our series. Right, so I'm very excited to hear more from Yang Zi today. But before we start on our conversation today, I've prepared a this or that segment.
Oh, this or
So
that.
what's going to happen is that I will ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
Then in each question, you'll be given 2 choices to choose
Okay.
from. Yeah. So what you have to do is to make your choice as fast as possible. Yeah,
Okay.
just choose the first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay.
There is no right or wrong answer.
Can I
Alright.
try my best?
Yeah, okay, ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so the
Okay.
first question. Create a YouTube video or write a blog post.
Write a blog post.
Or you prefer to write?
It's easier.
Easier.
I don't have people help me edit.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Diversification or concentration?
Wow, as fast as possible. Diversification.
Okay. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. Learn how to invest from Warren Buffett, or you get to learn how to play a ukulele from Warren Buffett. Which would you want? Something
Learn how to
formal?
play a
Something-
ukulele.
Why?
Because I can watch, understand how he invests through things like his annual shareholder meetings. But you don't see him teaching ukulele.
Yeah, it's
there,
a
right?
special
So it's special.
chance, right?
It's more intimate, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, would you choose to enjoy free Netflix subscription, or you want to choose to enjoy free Starbucks drink of equal monetary value?
Wow. This is so difficult.
Both
Okay, I'll just say Starbucks lah. Just Starbucks. Yeah.
Any reason?
Because for let's say media entertainment, there are other sources lah. Actually, Starbucks, I think the coffee quite good lah. So
Okay,
usually
not
have to
replaceable.
yeah.
Okay, good one. Okay, have more time or have more money?
Oh, definitely more time.
Okay,
Yeah.
spend time with your family
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
kids, right? Yeah. Okay, would you rather be able to talk to your future self or your past self?
Wow, this is so difficult also. I think talk to my past self.
Talk to your past self.
Yeah. Let the future be a mystery.
Let the future
Then
be
life will be more of an adventure. like
okay,
that.
so you will talk to your past self about things that you think you can improve
Yeah, I can do better. Then maybe now I'll be a lot richer. No?
to change that you have currently.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was just a very quick segment to get you warm up for today's conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. So Yang Zi, you have been in the investment advisory field for more than 6 years.
Yeah.
Right? So in the course of your work, you get to meet and talk to many people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Investors with different kind of mindsets.
Yes.
So as an investment advisor and also an avid investor yourself, what are some of the areas or things that you wish that your clients understood better about investing, which they don't?
Okay. This is a very interesting question. I think this one don't just apply to clients, but investors in general. Usually, even talking to friends and all, they know that I'm in the investing field. They always ask, hey, so what's good to invest now, right? So a lot of times, I think investors focus a lot externally, meaning like what is the best investment.
Yes.
But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that I think the long-term success of their finances or investing, right? A lot of it, is determined by their behavior than the intelligence, right? So a lot of people want to make an intelligent choice. What is a good choice now? What is good to invest now, right?
The best
they want to be tactical about their moves,
Yeah.
but they don't realize that actually in the long term, behavior is more important. So how what do I mean, right? So take for example, we all know that investing, there are bull markets, there are bear markets and everything, right?
Yes.
So during a bull market, people will invest as if the bull market is invincible, like it never ends, it will just go up all the way to the moon, right? So
Yeah.
people say that, wow, the valuation is so expensive. They say, no, it can continue to go up and we are looking about 10 years, 20 years, 100 years
Yeah.
ahead, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? All sorts of reasons to continue buying, right? So this is actually driven by greed, right? Then conversely, during a bear market, when the market is not so good, people tend to shun the market.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Suddenly
right.
the confidence is gone, right? Then they understand that, oh, this company is good, right? The price dropped. Technically, you should be buying, but out of fear, they are saying that,
Don't dare to
I
buy.
don't dare to buy. Everything going down, will it go to zero or not? Right? So I think a lot of times, very smart people can make very not so smart choices because of this greed or fear. So I think a lot of this success, right, has to do with behavior. So understanding that markets in the long run, there's up, there's down, right? When they first made the investment, they already know the fact that it's going to go up, it's going to go down. But the strange thing is that when it goes down, then they feel as if that this is something new.
Yeah.
But they already knew it in the first place, right? So I think in the long term, behavior matters the most because if you're able to stay rational and logical in your decisions, you avoid greedy decisions, avoid too fearful decisions, and you're very aware of all these, right? I think the tendency would be that you will make a lot of better decisions. Yeah, so I think that is what I hope more investors will start to realize than just chasing what's the best investment.
Yeah, that shiny object.
Yeah, correct.
So for yourself, right, what kind of investments are you mainly invested in? Or is there any particular investing style which you adopt for yourself?
So when it comes to my investing style, I think it has changed drastically over the years. So myself, I've been investing for like maybe a decade already. I never really checked out, but quite some time. So although the styles are very different, there is I think one common principle that I abide by, right? So three things lah. The first one is whenever I would invest in anything, I need to understand what it is. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that understanding it is not enough. I need to understand why I invest into this, right? It can go up. So that's the second thing.
Okay.
So the third principle that I have is that understanding why it can go up is one thing. Understanding the risk also. What can cause it to become a failed investment. Right, so if I can kind of like satisfy these three, right, then I will tell myself that okay, I can consider this investment or this investment strategy. Right, so when I first started, because I didn't really know how to value companies and everything, so what I did was that I bought a diversified portfolio of funds. So it was just unit trust basically. Right, so the idea is this, right, to fulfill the three points, the first one, right, is that I started to understand things about like the world GDP and everything. How do you actually calculate GDP? I realized, actually in the long run, the world GDP goes up because of capitalism, right? So to me, I can see how, I understand why a globally diversified portfolio works because basically you are just investing in the world economy, right? The world economy grows, your money grows. Then secondly, understanding why it goes up, right? Basically GDP goes up, people make more money, some prices go up in the long run. So that satisfies the second criteria. The third one, right, is basically the risk. So what are the chances that the world actually don't do well, right? Not very high, right? I mean, there could be crazy things like we recently see the Russian war. There were even threats of like a nuclear, but it's unlikely to happen. But in the event of such kind of a black swan event, right, I think the world economy can really be in big trouble. But if that happens, right, I think at that point in time, I don't even know. It's not about investments, right? My cash wouldn't even be worth anything. Right? So to me, that was kind of like a brainless, I don't really need to think, right? The world is going to go up in the long run, so I just globally diversify.
Yes.
But I think as I understood more about investing, started to learn more about valuing companies and all.
Mm.
So I decided to become a bit more adventurous lah. So meaning that I think part of it is kind of like a journey of mastery also, right? You like to challenge yourself and you want to do more difficult things and see whether you can get a high return. So currently, I'm holding around 15 to 20 stocks. Okay? That's all I hold, 15 to 20 stocks. And that's in the Singapore market, Hong Kong, as well as US.
Okay.
Right? So they're actually quite concentrated. So although it's 15 to 20 stocks, right, it's not as well diversified as in the past because it is primarily concentrated within tech. So at this point in time, my investment philosophy, right, is that the more concentrated you get, you basically need to spend more time to understand that subject matter. So it's like your circle of competency, right?
Yeah.
So it is very difficult to understand the different segments. So a lot of people talk about a lot of fancy companies. Some you hear a lot of very interesting names like let's say Palantir, right?
Yeah.
I'm not invested because I cannot understand. I need to make sure that this is something that I am confident that it fulfills point 1 and 2. I understand it and I know I can work, and of course I know the risk. So at the moment why I'm investing this way is because I find it very hard to believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, right, that technology is not going to become a very dominant part of our life. So I can see being entrenched in every single part of our life. So for that matter, I think that technology is a good space to be at. Even though, at the current juncture, it is beaten down a lot, which is great. I'll buy more.
Yes, that's right. So I read your blog, which you posted sometime in February this year, about buying the recent dip. And you started this $88,888 public portfolio to do so. A very auspicious number.
Correct.
Right. So others were panicking or selling during this recent dip. You decided to go in and buy.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts in buying this recent dip?
Yeah. Okay. I think a few things I want to clarify. The first one is 88,888. Because I happen to be buying, you go and track the date. It's around Chinese New Year. Like, what an auspicious number, right? Why not, right? Since we need some luck. But also the other reason why I typically, let's say today, if I do my own investments, I don't really have to show it or anything. But the reason why I'm writing that, right, is because I manage clients' money, right? During a time like now, I think I can go on and on about explaining to people about long-term investing why you should start considering buying in now, right? But I think nothing beats showing them that I have skin in the game. Basically, that as I'm telling you, I'm buying as well, right? Starting to average in as well. So that was the purpose of this blog post. To give people confidence that as long as you buy strong things, the market looks good, not very good, you should continue to average in. But as an investor, right? I think the question is more as an investor, why are you deciding to buy the dip? Right? I think to me it's pretty simple. I think in the long term we are accumulator of assets. Meaning to say that in our lifetime, if you want to financial independence, you want to build wealth and everything, it's about accumulating a lot of assets over our lifetime. So if we want to accumulate assets, right, of course we're going to buy it cheap, right? So given that it is a cheaper valuation now, it makes sense for me to continue buying. Right? Some people will be worried that what if you're going to a bear market and stuff like that, right? But if you look at the data, the decision to buy is actually very easy because the average the average bear market lasts for around 9.6 months, right? And the longest bear market was during the Great Depression. The last 100 years was from 1929 to 1932, right? So that lasted about 2.5 to 3 years, somewhere around there, right? So the thing is that if you can invest and you don't really need the money for that 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, then the good news is this: you'll be able to buy at good prices. And historically, if you bought during a bear market or close to a bear market, right, in the long run, you always get outsized returns. Right? So basically, that's the idea. I think that, basically buying good assets at cheaper prices, why not? So that's why I decided to buy.
Right, thanks for sharing that. What I also noticed is that there are some investors who preach that they want to invest, want to start investing. But the thing is, they always have comments like, oh, but the market is very uncertain now. It is a very bad time to invest now. Things like that. And the truth is that if you hold on to such a view, there would never be really the best time for you to invest because the markets are always uncertain. And now we have inflation, next time we have something else, right? So as investors, what's important is to learn how to actually make use of all the supposedly negative events and then turn them into our favor, right? So when it comes to managing investments, do you usually take the helm? or does your spouse manage her own investments? How is it like when it comes to communication for investments and finances? Perhaps you could share some tips to all the young couples out there.
Right, so that's an interesting question. Basically, for myself and my wife, we decide to work together as a team to manage our finances together. Right. So what happens is that when our income comes in, right, we will combine everything together and then calculate things like our combined household expense and everything. So we manage it together, but we delegate tasks according to our individual proficiency in the different areas. So what do I mean, right? Basically, when it comes to things like investment matters, we decide that in a year how much we're going to set for investments, right? I will basically make all the investment decisions, and then she will trust me entirely, and will not question, hey, sure you want to buy this stuff and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then my wife will take care entirely of the budgeting, annual budgeting. So things like when you talk about annual expenses, there are some things that are predictable, more expectable, like your taxes, your insurance premiums, things like how much you want to invest, things like in this year, how much do you want to spend on traveling. So these are things that's being controlled and decided by her.
Okay.
Right? So that's how we function. As for, I think, tips for younger couples, right? I see that, in my experience, I think there's no right and wrong. Some people prefer, managing their finances individually as a couple. But for me, I find it more efficient if, young couples can work as a team to, manage it together. Because there'll be some areas that, you're better at. There's some areas that, the partner is better at. And obviously, if you choose a life partner, you want to be able to trust the person fully, right? So I would think that the advice I would give, right, would be to work as a team and at the same time, right, embrace mistakes and learn together. Because you see, working as a team, sometimes delegating a certain task means that when someone makes a decision, you don't really go and question it, right? But at the same time, even though someone is putting in their best effort at doing something, for example, accounting or making an investment and stuff like that, right? Despite the best effort, sometimes people can make mistakes also, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, let's say if I'm a new investor, but I'm more versed than my wife, for example, but I'm a new investor, I can still make mistakes, right? So the key thing is that even though the responsibility is on the individual, right, and we trust them entirely, expect that there will be mistakes, and as a team, we learn together from it and we grow together from it.
Right, I understand. So you have kids, right? So do you actually start to find ways to inculcate some mindset on money and personal finances? Or do you even plan to when your kids grow up, say when they're in their teens, then you will start to talk to them more about investments so that they got more earlier exposure? Anything like this?
Okay, so generally for children, right, definitely I would hope that they would learn about investing as early as possible. But I find it really challenging to explain to them about money theoretically, right? The numerical part, the mathematical part is the easy part. Like teaching them 50 cents plus 50 cents is $1. That is the easy part. By helping them understand how money works, right, that is the difficult part. So what I do is that I incorporate some things into our daily lives to help them understand. Then after I explain to them. So one thing that I do, right, is that I give them a magnetic chart. Right?
Okay.
So what they do is this magnetic chart as well as a task list.
Okay.
So this task list, right, indicates different tasks that allows them to earn magnets. Right. So there are small tasks like sleeping early and things like because I have 2 children, if the teacher decides to help the younger brother, right, with things, they earn a magnet. Right. The more difficult ones are the ones that requires consistency. So for example, usually it has to do with schoolwork. You're doing well and things like your things and everything for a consecutive period of 3 months, 6 months, you get a big reward, right? More magnets. So with these magnets, right, they actually have to put in effort and they need to do things that they usually don't have to do, right? They're not expected to do, but they want to go out of the way to earn that magnets. So when they earn these magnets, right, what they can do is that they can exchange all these magnets for TV time, screen time, things like that. And more than that, right, we incorporated something else to teach them about exchange rate. So we told them that for each magnet, today if you want to exchange for money, you can actually exchange it with me for let's say $1.50. One magnet for $1.50. And then my wife, right, I tell them that if you want to change with her, it'll be one magnet for $1.
Oh.
Yeah, so in that sense, right, they are forced to think. They'll be thinking that, hey, actually I changed with my dad, it's better, right? Because $1.50.
Yeah.
So the idea here, right, is it doesn't matter who they change with, but it helps them realize about, things like exchange rate. 1 is to 1.5, 1 is to 1, and things like that. So they consciously make these decisions. So when they make the money already, whenever we go to like supermarkets or we go to like toy shop, as long as they are buying things with their money, generally we don't really interfere. So the thing is this, the interesting thing is this. In the past, when it's just us paying, the parents paying, right, they would just want everything. Now they are paying with their money, right? They suddenly become very careful. Sometimes I'll ask them, do you want any candy or what? No, don't want. Yeah, so they start understanding the value of money. So I think these things are very hard to explain theoretically. So I get them to experience it. And then, so I think inflation is a very hot topic now, right? So I happen to have a game that I play with my kids, a card game that teaches them about inflation. And for those people who actually follow iFast TV, they will know that a very good friend actually bought me this card game called Monopoly Beat. So Monopoly Beat, basically the card game, right? You collect number of cards, and then quite like Monopoly, you need to bid for properties, right? So when you get a certain set of properties, you win. So what happens towards the end of the game is that you have so many cards. You have 5 cards, you have 10 cards, so you have full hand of like a lot of money, So what happens is this, the bidding gets more and more exciting. At the start, when you have only 5 cards and very little money, you can only bid like 2 million, 1 million and stuff. When you have 10 cards, 15 cards in your hand, you can bid like 50 million for one property. So in that sense, right, they start to see how, the effect of easy money, having a lot of easy money, actually floods the market and causes prices to go up. So I didn't really explain it in this manner, but while playing the game, I think they understood the concept of inflation, how prices can inflate when there is demand.
Oh, that's a very good one. A very good way. You learn through experience and through fun as well.
Yes, I think that's the best way to learn.
Thanks for sharing all this. Right, so there has always been debates or discussions on many of the investing community forums and groups, right? Which talk about how some people feel that the education in Singapore can try to bring in investing so that the kids can have earlier exposure to investing, right? So on this matter, what are some of your thoughts and views?
Well, I think it's good to have, but surprisingly, I'm quite neutral on this. Because my view of school, maybe not everybody agree with it, but I think that end of the day, we cannot be entirely reliant on school for things like knowledge and subject matter kind of expertise. Because in this time and age that we are living in, right, if we want to search for information or knowledge, right, it is actually very easy, right? But of course, whether you understand the knowledge is how you process that knowledge is a different thing. So what I think school is supposed to do, right, is through the different subjects, be it mathematics, science, English, Mandarin, etc. All these subjects are meant to put children through this process of mental rigor to help them think critically and creatively, right? So I think fundamentally, what is more important to me is that when my children go to school, it's not about the knowledge they learn, not just about the knowledge they learn. More importantly, are they able to think creatively and critically? Because ultimately in life, right, any kind of skill, be it rock climbing, starting a business, investing, these are different skills that they want to pursue, right? If they are able to think creatively, able to think critically, I believe they will be able to make good decisions and pick up these skills very easily. Yeah.
Right, it has been a great conversation with you, Yang Zi. Before we end off today's conversation, what is one advice that you would like to give to our audiences on how we can continue to stay joyful in this investment journey?
Okay, so I think we are in a very uncertain and turbulent time now with inflation, the Russia war, etc., etc. So if you want to stay joyful in investing, don't check your brokerage account too frequently, right? Because the truth is this, right? The big money is not made in the buying and selling, right? In the short term, that's not what makes you money. The big money is made actually in the waiting. So there is really no point in you causing yourself so much emotional turmoil, right? Looking at the brokerage accounts go up and down every day. Because end of the day, as long as you invest in good companies, hope for the long term, that is what matters.
Thanks for sharing this advice, and thank you for taking the time to come on our Pride and Joy series.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.